Welcome back. Now, Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews is refusing to step down over the hotel quarantine failure, but his Health Minister, Jenny Mikakos, has handed in her resignation. Joining me now, Sky News contributor and Melbourne City Councillor Nicholas Reece and Liberal MP in Victoria, Tim Smith. Welcome to the program, both of you. Nicholas, big news yesterday with Jenny Mikakos' resignation. How do you interpret this? Do you interpret it as her taking responsibility for the mistakes she's overseen, or a protest against the Premier's inquiry testimony?
Look, Jenny Mikakos had served in the Parliament since 1999 and obviously risen to the very senior post of being Health Minister. She'd been a hard-working minister, but look, ultimately she had tendered her resignation, I believe, after the Premier's evidence to the Commission of Inquiry on Friday, where he expressed the view that he thought the buck did stop with the Health Minister and her department over the handling of the quarantine arrangements at the hotels. That's obviously a very, very tough blow for Minister Mikakos, and I'm sure she'd be taking that very, very hard. And look, politics is a tough business. As for whether the Premier should resign, no, I don't think he should, Shari. I think Victoria, notwithstanding the terrible situation we found ourselves in after the hotel quarantine debacle, has actually made remarkable progress since then in getting those COVID-19 cases down. We shouldn't forget it was only a few short weeks ago. We're having over 700 cases a day. As of today, we've got 16 cases, 15 of those from known sources, 10 of them in aged care facilities. And so we are very, very much on the right track, and further relief will be coming soon. Yeah, I mean, that is true. The number of cases are well down now, but the problem is in this process there have been more than 700 people who have lost their lives. Tim, you know, what's your feeling here? Do you think Jenny Mikakos is a scapegoat for Daniel Andrews? And if she has failed, then why isn't he accepting the responsibility as well?
Well, good evening, Shari, and good evening, Nick, and good evening to all of your viewers around Australia. Well, Jenny Mikakos has been sacrificed on the altar of Daniel Andrews' own incompetence. And I must say, Nick's endorsement of the Premier wasn't particularly resolute. You think he should remain? Well, I can tell you something, mate. If any CEO of any business had presided over the deaths of 765 people, that were responsible for the deaths of 765 people through their own negligence, the board would have sacked them, and the police and others would be coming after them for criminal negligence and industrial manslaughter. So Daniel Andrews must go. He's tried to throw his health minister under a bus. She's gone, and on the way out the door, she said that she strongly disagreed with Daniel Andrews' statements to the Board of Inquiry. So, yes, of course, Jenny Mikakos was profoundly negligent in presiding over the worst hotel quarantine disaster the country'd ever seen, the worst contact tracing system that existed in Australia. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with the leader of the government. The buck stops with the Premier. He has presided over the second wave. I mean, Nick's talking about, we had 700 cases a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. Why did we have 700 cases a couple of months ago? Why? Because of the profound stuff-ups in hotel quarantine and contact tracing presided over by the Andrews Labor government. The buck stops with the Premier. He should take responsibility, do the right thing and go.
Nicholas, if you want to respond to that, I'm happy for you to respond to that. If not, I want to ask you about what Mikakos' departure means for Andrews. She was a key factional backer of the Premier's. Will this resignation trigger any loss of leadership support for him internally in the left faction?
Look, I think Daniel Andrews is very much in control of the Labor Party in Victoria and very much in control of his cabinet as well.
Yes,
it was notable that it was.
There's no democracy in the Labor Party. There's no democracy in the Labor Party at the moment.
As a member of Her Majesty's opposition here in Victoria, I'm sure you'll have plenty to say and you'll do it very effectively as well. I'll make a couple of observations, much more impartial, shall I say. I mean, look, Daniel Andrews' position in the Labor Party in Victoria is unassailable. He is a very effective politician. He's a very effective communicator. And notwithstanding the debacle, the view is that he's conducting himself well. It's notable that Minister Martin Foley has been appointed today as the new health minister. He's very much seen as a smart operator, a steady hand at the wheel, and also very closely aligned politically with Daniel Andrews as well, Shari.
I mean, the other thing that's been announced, Tim, today that I haven't touched on is that there are now new fines for Victorians, $5,000 fine if you breach any of the rules. It has seemed, you know, during this entire process that Victorians have been punished and have been blamed, but there has been no responsibility from the government.
Well, yes, and the Premier constantly blamed the people of Victoria, not his own government's incompetence, for the second wave. Now, today he's abolished the curfew. We've been calling on the curfew to be abolished for months. We have said for months that it was disproportionate, it was frankly stupid, and it was doing nothing to stop the spread of the virus. Now, Shari, for your viewers around Australia, what the Premier also announced today was that this face shield, for example, is now going to be banned. You're not allowed to wear a face shield. That's not an appropriate form of protection for coronavirus. You still have to wear a mask. You still have to wear a mask when you go outside. But the face shield, this, which for many people who wear glasses, when they're trying to go walking as part of their 2 hours exercise, just remember criminals get more of an opportunity to do exercise than the good people of Victoria at the moment, their glasses fog up. They can't see where they're going. I mean, my poor old dad, I was talking to him this afternoon about this. He needs to wear one of these shields when he goes walking because his glasses fog up. Yeah. He can't see.
No,
these are serious issues, Nick. Now, you can laugh as much as you like, mate, but we've been muzzled like dogs because if your own Labor Party's incompetent, I'm happy to wear a mask in a supermarket or on public transport. Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
But
hang on. These when we're walking outside.
Hang on, Tim. Tim, I'm awarding you the gold Logie for best use of a political prop in a high-pressure interview for 2020. Well done on that one. But, of course, what you failed to mention was that the government has done that on medical advice, on the best advice available.
Rubbish.
The face masks do not offer the protection of a face mask. Because they don't cover the mouth and nose. Okay. So it's not because the government did it because they want to annoy you, Tim. They did it because the
transmission of coronavirus over the last 2 months that have occurred because of one of these things. There's no evidence. It's a load of crap.
Well, also the medical advice has changed. Do you remember earlier this year there was medical advice showing that the face masks didn't work and now suddenly they do. So the medical advice seems to change all the time. Tim Smith and Nicholas Reece, thank you both very much for joining me. Really appreciate it.